have joining me right now Aly Legge from Veterans for America First. Aly, thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you're here because wow, our border is a hot mess express, and I saw video yesterday of there were I guess maybe 100 or so border crossers, and the border patrol and National Guard were separating them off, kind of putting the women and children to one side and the men to another, and the men basically decided they were going to just enter the country and started screaming about being hungry and we need to get in, and kind of pushed forward, and the five National Guardsmen that were there had to kind of maintain a melee and were eventually overcome. These are the kind of things back in the 80s. If this was happening, it would have been on the nightly news, the morning news. It would have been on 24-hour coverage, and no elected official would be allowed to oversee this. But in 2024, it's like nothing's happening, Aly.
It is absolutely wild that we are witnessing this invasion at our border by the government. This is sanctioned by our federal government. President Biden has the ability to end this right now. He has the constitutional authority to do so. And the fact that he is not, he is aided and abetting criminals coming into this country. When you hop over the border, come through the border illegally without going through proper checkpoints, you are coming over here illegally. You are a criminal by doing that action. And this is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe we are witnessing this invasion in this time that we're in. And this actually puts our families at danger. It puts our National Guardsmen in danger, in harm's way. I mean, this is how you lose lives, right? This, honestly, I believe was a first attempt. And the next time this happens, this is not going to end well.
No, it isn't. And so that kind of brings me to you're doing something pretty amazing. I love it when people take more than just, maybe a video or a short. You're doing something much more expansive. You have a documentary called Border Invasion and American Crisis. Talk to me about that.
Yes, sure. So it's called The Border Invasion. It's an American Crisis, and it was filmed by Stan Fitzgerald and his wife. And it's really a look about, boots on the ground. It's a factual document about true people that have actually been at the border, that have filmed it, that have understood what's going on, that work there. It features Victor Avila, who actually ran for Congress in Eagle Pass. And while he didn't win, he does express and explain what he witnessed while he was there and his experience while he was at the border.
Yeah, so I just recently learned at a conference a couple of weekends ago about something that is actually on American soil right now, and it's kind of disgusting. So if you have kids watching, viewers, please maybe you want to mute for a second, but this is information that Americans need. Aly, the description was of rape trees. The drug cartels film brutal, horrible assaults that they visit upon people and children, and they then take the garments of those individuals and the images and they nail them to trees as a warning to those who are entering, who still owe the cartel debt, that if they don't pay up once they're inside, if they don't maintain their obligation, that they could fall victim to the same kinds of crime. These trees exist on American soil, as well as the high body count. We now have over 2,000 migrants who have died on American soil from heat exhaustion and other things as they're crossing into the country, because there's huge expanses of land that they have to cross, and they're crossing on foot, and it's exhausting. These are things that maybe Americans don't know are happening. I certainly didn't know about the rape trees.
Yeah, well, Moms for America actually went down to the border, and we do have members of Veterans for America First that have been down to a border as well. And we have seen these images and this, what you're explaining, the rape trees in person, and it is quite horrifying. This is Biden's bloodbath. When this is what they talk about, this is exactly what they mean. We have people that are in America right now that if we do not stop this invasion, this is what American people will witness. This is what is coming to your door. And I don't want to be black pill, but this is a reality. We have to make sure that we exude strength, right? And what we're witnessing is weak leadership. And when weak leaders and weak men are in positions of power, evil prevails. And this is what happens when evil prevails, right? We have weakness from all aspects of it within the cartels. They use force, right? Strong men don't need to do that. Strong leaders don't need to use force, right, in order to get a point across. This is absolutely insane that we're witnessing this here in America, and it's coming to our doors. I mean, it's already here at our border. The people in Texas are witnessing these things. This is absolutely horrible, and we just cannot have it anymore. We have to make sure we are calling and interacting with our congressmen and telling them that they have to either shut the government down or close the border. We cannot placate this any longer.
So, Allie, I'm glad that's perfect segue. That was my next question to you, which is I had a congresswoman on radio last night, and she and I were talking. And the way that our U.S. House is set up, you actually have the rank and file membership unable to bring bills. They have to
Mm,
add their addendums, right? They can add to legislation, but they can't actually bring legislation. They have to be in leadership. So that
right.
limits the number of people who can actually bring substantial change into the body to be voted on. Couple that with what you just said. You literally said we should shut the border down. Now, the Republicans appear to be scared witless over the prospect of shutting even a part of the government down, even though a government shutdown isn't really a government shutdown. Really, there's like
Right.
80% of the government that's funded no matter what the House does. So you're only talking about our military being on the chopping block, and most credit unions forward and basically prepay for the veterans. If the government's shut down, you still get paid. That's the way it was when I was on active duty. So I'm wondering why we don't have why are our GOP House members not shutting the government down to defund the flights, the open border, and the DOJ's prosecution of the witch hunt against the candidate for the GOP. The literal front runner for the GOP is being prosecuted by our own government. It's an amazing thing to watch the GOP led House fund it.
Honestly, the only answer I can come up with is feebleness. We have a bunch of weak leaders that do not have a spine, that are afraid to come forward. Which, why are you afraid to speak for the American people? If you can clearly see what the issues are and you can clearly see what the danger is, you need to be able to be the leader and say, look, we cannot do this, we cannot have this. This is what we need to do, regardless of how you feel about it. This needs to happen to protect the American way of life. And if we don't have leaders that are doing that, we need to make sure that we, the people, are speaking up and encouraging them to do the right thing. They are in office because we have elected them. We are a government of we the people, for the people, by the people. But if the people are not active in calling and encouraging our representatives who they work for us, right? If we're not telling them what it is that they need to do, they're going to do what the special interests want them to do. They're going to do whatever the other side wants them to do. The big corporations and the ones that lobby and the ones that pay for their campaigns. We need to make sure that we, the people, are being active and having those conversations with them, as well as the people within our sphere of influence, so that we can make those changes.
Allie,
It is up to us.
I love it. It's up to us, and on that we have to wrap. We have to close. But thank you so much for joining us for Veterans for America First. We'll talk again soon, and we'll have more Stacy Washington now after this.